You make $70,000 a year. 5 years ago, that sounded solid, responsible, stable, middle class. So why does it still feel like you're behind? Why does payday feel like relief, but only for about 48 hours? You're not reckless. You're not lazy. You're not bad with money. And yet, you check your account before buying groceries. You hesitate before saying yes to a weekend trip. You tell yourself, once I get to $80K or $90K, then I'll breathe. But somehow the breathing room never comes. Today, I want to talk about why $70,000 a year still feels broke in 2026. And more importantly, why it's not entirely your fault. Most people think the issue is income. If I just made more. That's the default explanation. And sure, income matters. But here's what nobody says clearly enough. The system adjusted faster than your salary did. The cost of stability moved. The definition of comfortable shifted. And your expectations evolved without you noticing. So now you're stuck in this weird middle space. You make too much to feel poor, but not enough to feel secure. And that tension? That's exhausting. We've been taught that $70,000 is good money. But in 2026, good money doesn't automatically equal financial peace. Let's break down why. 1. The math quietly changed. Let's walk through something simple. You earn $70,000 a year. After taxes, depending on where you live, that's roughly $52,000, $56,000 take home. Let's say $4,500 per month hits your account. Sounds decent, right? Now let's subtract reality. Rent or mortgage, $1,600, $2,200, utilities plus internet plus phone, $300, $400, groceries, $500, $700. Transportation, car payment, gas, insurance, $600, $900. Health insurance plus medical, $300, $500. Subscriptions, small recurring charges, $100, $200. Minimum savings or retirement contributions, $300, $600. We haven't added vacations. We haven't added emergencies. We haven't added helping family. We haven't added student loans or credit card debt. Suddenly, that comfortable salary feels tight. Not because you're overspending wildly, but because baseline living costs climbed quietly, and you adjusted without realizing it. 2. Lifestyle inflation doesn't feel like luxury anymore. Here's something subtle. Most lifestyle inflation today doesn't feel like upgrading. It feels like keeping up. A slightly safer neighborhood. A reliable car instead of an unpredictable one. Organic groceries. Faster internet because you work remotely. A decent phone because everything runs through it. None of these scream luxury. But together, they raise your fixed expenses. And fixed expenses are dangerous because they lock you in. You can cancel Netflix. You can't easily cancel rent. So even if you're disciplined, if your fixed monthly cost is high, your financial stress stays high. You're not broke because you're irresponsible. You're broke because your financial flexibility is thin. And thin margins create constant anxiety. 3. The psychological trap of middle success. There's a strange psychological zone around $70K. You're no longer in survival mode. But you're not financially powerful either. You can pay your bills, but one job loss, one medical emergency, one major car repair, and everything shakes. That's the tension. You feel like you should be secure by now. You followed the formula. You went to school. You built skills. You moved up. So why doesn't it feel solid? Because financial security isn't just about income. It's about margin. And most people earning $70K have very little margin. 4. The cost of normal went up. Let's talk about something uncomfortable. The standard of normal in 2026 is expensive. Normal means streaming services, eating out occasionally, traveling once a year, a clean, safe home means, decent clothes, saving for retirement, helping family when needed. That's not extravagant. That's basic modern adulthood. But stacking all of that on a mid-level salary, it stretches things. And when you stretch month after month, you feel like you're failing, even though you're just participating in modern life. 5. Social comparison is louder than ever. In 2026, you're not just comparing yourself to neighbors. You're comparing yourself to algorithms. You scroll and see people buying homes, couples traveling internationally, entrepreneurs scaling, friends announcing promotions. You make $70K. But online, it feels like everyone makes $200K. So now your stable life feels small. Even if, statistically, you're doing okay, comparison doesn't just steal joy. It inflates perceived inadequacy. And that emotional pressure pushes spending. You upgrade because you feel behind, not because you need to. That's a silent drain. 6. Debt is still lingering in the background. Many people earning $70K didn't start there. They climbed, and climbing often came with debt. Student loans, car loans, credit cards from lower income years. So part of your income isn't building your future, it's paying for your past. That slows momentum. And slow momentum feels like stagnation, even if you're technically progressing. 7. Security feels further away. Here's something subtle. The world feels less stable than it did. Layoffs happen fast. Industries change quickly. AI reshapes jobs overnight. Housing markets fluctuate. So $70K doesn't feel like a platform. It feels temporary. And when income feels temporary, you don't feel safe, even if the number looks good on paper. Security is emotional, not just numerical. 8. The real problem isn't income. It's structure. This is the part most people miss. You don't need a financial miracle. You need a better structure. Let me explain. If your fixed expenses eat 70–80% of your take-home pay, you will feel broke at $70K, and at $80K, and at $90K, because the pressure isn't the number. It's the ratio. Income minus fixed costs equals freedom. If that gap is small, stress stays high. If that gap is wide, peace grows. It's not about flexing discipline every month. It's about designing breathing room. 9. Why more income alone doesn't fix it. This is hard to accept. If you suddenly made $85,000, would everything change? Maybe temporarily. But if your lifestyle adjusts upward again, you'll land in the same emotional place. Because human psychology adapts fast. What once felt luxurious becomes baseline. The brain recalibrates. And suddenly, the new number feels average. That's why chasing income without changing structure creates a treadmill effect. You run harder, but stay in place. 10. So what actually changes the feeling? Let's slow this down. If $70K feels tight, what would make it feel calm? Not flashy. Calm. It's usually one of three things. 1. Lower fixed expenses. 2. Higher margin between income and obligations. 3. A stronger emergency buffer. Notice what's not on that list? A luxury car, a bigger apartment, a more impressive lifestyle. Peace comes from flexibility, from knowing if something goes wrong, I'm okay. That's financial confidence, and it doesn't require doubling your income. It requires intentional design. 11. The shift most people avoid. The uncomfortable truth? Sometimes the fastest way to stop feeling broke isn't earning more. It's temporarily living slightly below your capability. That might mean delaying an upgrade, choosing a modest apartment, driving a paid-off car longer cities, saying no to lifestyle creep. Not forever, just long enough to build margin. Margin turns $70K from stressful to stable, because now your money works for you, instead of you working just to maintain your setup. 12. You're not behind. You're pressured. I want you to hear this clearly. If you make $70,000 and still feel broke, you're not broken. You're navigating rising costs, social pressure, emotional expectations, and structural realities that changed faster than salaries did. That doesn't mean stay passive, but it does mean drop the shame. Shame clouds strategy. Clarity builds strategy. Imagine this. Same $70K income, but 3–6 months of expenses saved, Lower fixed costs. No high-interest debt buy. Intentional spending out. Clear financial priorities. Would it still feel broke? Or would it feel stable? That's the difference. Not the number, the structure. So maybe the real question isn't, how do I make more? Maybe it's, how do I create more margin with what I already make? Because in 2026, $70,000 isn't broke. But without breathing room, it can absolutely feel like it. And that feeling? It's designable. If this resonated with you, sit with it. Look at your fixed costs. Look at your ratios. Look at your margin. Not with shame, with curiosity. Because once you create breathing room, everything changes.